Chapter 2. The Price of Silence. The rain did not belong in Durotar. When it came, it fell hard and fast, turning the dust of Orgrimmar into thick red mud before vanishing as though the sky regretted its kindness. By sunrise, the streets were wet. By sunrise, the blood had already dried. Rokhani found the body on his walk to the quarry, the young troll from yesterday, the one whose hand had been crushed beneath a Korkron boot, lay face down in an alley near the Valley of Spirits. Someone had covered him with a worn burlap cloth, but one blue foot protruded from beneath it. No priest stood vigil. No family cried over him. People simply walked around the body. An orc merchant pushed his cart past without slowing. A goblin complained that the corpse was blocking traffic. A Korkron guard glanced at the dead troll only long enough to spit. One less mouth. The words hung in the morning air. Rokhani lowered his head and kept walking, not because he agreed, because looking too long invited questions. The quarry was quieter that day, not because the overseers had become merciful, because everyone understood the lesson. Work until your body breaks, then keep working. The dead had no voice. The living had learned to whisper. At midday, a wagon rolled into the quarry, carrying crates stamped with the Horde crest, fresh meat, bread, barrels of clean water. The workers looked toward it with exhausted hope. The supplies passed them, straight through the quarry, straight toward the Korkron barracks. The laborers received dried cactus strips so tough they barely resembled food. One Tauren quietly laughed, not because anything was funny, because despair sometimes sounded like laughter. That evening, Taza did not come home. Lashka tried to hide her worry. She swept the floor. She repaired fishing nets. She sharpened old knives that hadn't seen fish in years. She checked the doorway every few minutes. Jakku noticed. Where's Taza? Probably helping someone. When's he coming home? Soon. She smiled. It wasn't convincing. Night settled over Orgrimmar. The door finally opened. Taza staggered inside. His clothes were soaked. His lip was split open. One tusk had chipped near the base. Rokhani caught him before he collapsed. What happened? Taza hesitated. Then the anger won. I fought back. The room fell silent. Lashka's face turned pale. No. They called Ziri a jungle rat. His breathing trembled. They shoved an old troll woman into the mud. I couldn't just stand there. Rokhani closed his eyes. Who? 3 Korkron recruits. Recruits? Taza nodded. They're younger than me. That somehow made it worse. They laughed while they hit me. His voice cracked. They kept asking where Vol'jin was. Another pause. They said maybe the war chief should finish what Admiral Proudmoore started. Lashka covered her mouth. Even Jakku understood enough to know those words were ugly. Ziri quietly looked away. Rokhani cleaned his son's wounds in silence. The cuts weren't deep. The bruises would heal. The humiliation that lingered. You fought 3 soldiers. They ain't soldiers. They wear Korkron armor. They're bullies. They're both. Taza stared at the floor. I ain't ashamed. I know I'd do it again. I know. The older troll finally looked into his son's eyes. And next time, they'll kill you. I ain't afraid. No. Rokhani's voice was barely above a whisper. That's what scares me. Later that night, Ziri sat outside the hut, carving another tiny frog from driftwood she'd kept since the Echo Isles. She barely remembered the islands, only fragments, the smell of salt, warm rain, bright green trees, memories borrowed from childhood. An elderly troll slowly approached carrying a walking stick decorated with feathers. His name was Meebo. Once he had been a shadow hunter. Now age had bent his back. They still making frogs. Ziri smiled faintly. Mama says they bring luck. Meebo chuckled. They remind us who we are. He looked around carefully before sitting. Never let this city teach you to hate being Darkspear. I don't. Good. He touched the carving. Because that's exactly what they want. A pair of Kor'kron soldiers rounded the corner. Conversation stopped immediately. The older orc narrowed his eyes. You too. Neither troll moved. The guard pointed at Mibo's staff. What's that? My walking stick. The orc snatched it away. Feathers fluttered into the mud. He examined the carved lore symbols with disgust. Primitive. Before either troll could react, he snapped the staff across his knee. The wood cracked cleanly in half. 30 years of memories fell into the dirt. Mebo stared silently. The younger guard laughed. Make another. The two orcs walked away. Ziri rushed toward the broken pieces. I'm sorry. Mebo slowly knelt despite aching joints. No. He gently picked up a carved feather. Never apologize for another's cruelty. That night, Rokhani could not sleep. The city sounded different. He noticed hushed conversations, doors opening after midnight, footsteps that moved carefully instead of confidently. Something was changing, not loudly, quietly, like embers hidden beneath ash. Just before dawn, someone knocked softly against the family's door. 3 taps, a pause, 2 more. Rokhani reached for the spear beside his bed. He opened the door only enough to see. A hooded troll stood outside. Rain dripped from his cloak. He spoke without introducing himself. Word from Senjin village. Rokhani's heart skipped. The stranger leaned closer. So many disappearing. Who? Darkspear, who asked too many questions. The hooded troll looked over both shoulders, then whispered the words every troll in Orgrimmar had begun saying only in secret. The war chief watches his enemies. He turned to leave. After only a few steps, he stopped. Without looking back, he added one final sentence. So does Vol'jin. Then he vanished into the awakening streets. Rokhani remained in the doorway long after the stranger disappeared. Inside, his family still slept. Outside, Orgrimmar stirred to life beneath Garrosh's banners. For the first time in years, hope returned. It was not bright. It did not bring comfort. It arrived carrying danger, and danger had a name: rebellion.